It's incredibly rare that a fighter comes along and impresses the MMA audience in such a quick span of time, at such a young age, and one that can bounce back from adversity with flying colors. That's an extremely rare thing to see. And Joshua Van has showed MMA fans that he is truly something special. And, following his really amazing win at UFC 317, I'd like to talk about how Joshua Van is just a complete anomaly when it comes to mixed martial arts and just the UFC in general. So, Joshua Van started training MMA at 18, right? Only been training for 5 years. He started his amateur career in 2020, then, within a year, went pro. Immediately, just racking up finish wins. Then, 2023, gets to the UFC. Keep in mind, he's only about 21 at this time. Doesn't really train wrestling. Racks up a few good decision wins, all while being an undersized flyweight. It's a very, very rare thing to do. There's very few people that you can sit there and say they're undersized flyweight. But Van is, and he's incredibly young as well. Now, he then goes and loses to Charles Johnson by finish. He gets knocked out. Not a good look. Charles Johnson at the time was decent, but if you wanted to be on track to becoming a champion, it's not a good loss to have. But then, 2 months later, which is a terrible idea, keep in mind it is, I don't know who signed off on the idea, but 2 months after he got knocked out, he fought on the Sphere and delivered a Fight of the Year candidate against Edgar Chairez, who is a massive, enormous flyweight, where he just beat him up to the body and even overcame adversity in the fight, getting rocked with spinning back fists, but just hustling all the way through. And to show the level of conditioning and heart and veteran skill at such a young age is impressive, but just to be disciplined, going for body shots, targeting well, and wrestling when hurt, it's ridiculous to see at such a young age. Just simple as that. It's really, really impressive. And then, right after that, December, right? Fights against Cody Durden, a solid, number 15, number 14, number 16 kind of ranked guy, defends pretty much most of the takedowns with relative ease. Keep in mind, this guy only started training wrestling about a year and a half ago. Defends the takedown with ease, and then puts on a clinic on the feet, just tallying up strikes, battering Durden. Then, comes back in March, undefeated Japanese wrestler Rei Suruya defends all the takedowns, picks him apart on the feet. Really, really impressive. Then, June, right? UFC 316, Bruno Silva, a solid, lower top 15 kind of guy, finishes in the third round. Now, Van, because of his activity, because of his fight style, because of his youth, he gained a lot of fanfare. A lot of people were very, very, very high on Joshua Van, and I cannot blame them. Van was doing a very incredible thing, being so active at such a young age and showing such good improvements. It really felt like he was on, a fast track to the flyweight title, but I don't think people realized just how fast he would get to that title fight. And just a few days after his win at UFC 316, it was announced that Manel Kape was out of his fight with Brandon Royval. And as a number 12 ranked flyweight, Van stepped in to fight Brandon Royval, who I think is actually his hardest stylistic matchup in the division. I truly, truly believe that. With his chin, with the range that Royval presents with the dynamic attacks, I really, really did think Royval was going to beat him. And while Royval didn't exactly follow a smart game plan in that fight, Royval is an incredibly dangerous fighter always. He has wins over Moreno, Tatsuro Taira, Tim Elliott. He's a good fighter. Royval has been at the top for a long time, and he's very, very crafty and very, very unique in his style. And man stepped in on 3 weeks' notice and beat the brakes off him. Don't get me wrong, it was a competitive fight. But that's because Royval just refuses to stop throwing punches. Van was teeing off on him, constantly countering, and just beating into the punch almost every single time. And in that third round, when it was 1-1, he made the adjustment towards the end to stomp on the knee, be smart, and draw him into an exchange, and drop him in the very last exchange of the fight. Incredible stuff. And Van's stock would have rose exponentially from that. That is probably going to be fight of the year. As, you know, the rest of the cards this year look But Van made a statement and a half. He put an exclamation point on it. And I think what impressed me as well is Pantoja is giving him so much respect. Pantoja knows the kind of threat that Joshua Van is. You can kind of tell with Pantoja when he respects his opponent. With Kaya Sakura, he really was just snubbing him off. Even in the post-fight interviews, like, this Japanese guy ain't gonna come and beat me. And just in the fight, he was just toying with Asakura. And then, you know, against Kai Kara France, Pantoja was feeling himself. Like, let's be real, he just came out, just toppled over Kai and messed him up. And he, you know, didn't really have much respect for Kai's skills. Guys like Urseg and Moreno and Royval, definitely he has respect for, but there's a noticeable difference. And Pantoja immediately said, you know, this guy is going to give me problems. This guy is going to give me trouble. He's a very, very, very good fighter. And again, at that age, at 23, even if Pantoja does beat Van's becoming a champion. Van's becoming a champion. Because if Pantoja is going to beat Royval, which I would favor him to do, I think it's just simply going to be Pantoja has tools in his bag that Van has never seen in his entire life. This guy has only been training wrestling for 5 years. And furthermore, I assume grappling for 5 years. Pantoja is so experienced. Even if you are very, very good at just fundamentally working out of jiu-jitsu and grappling positions, like a Kai Kara France, like a Kaya Sakura, even like a Steve Urseg, Pantoja just has something for you every single time. He will just hustle in those grappling positions and he will just pull something out of his ass and catch you with it. And while Van has shown excellent takedown defense, Pantoja can, you know, mix things up really, really well. But Van also does present some very difficult things for Pantoja. I think he's quite a bit better of a boxer than Kai Kara France. Kai Kara France gets really caught up at playing the range game when he is an absolute midget for flyweight. Just plain and simple. And he gets very reserved on the feet when someone's trying to grapple him. And he also just doesn't really go for uppercuts a lot. He fights too long, plain and simple, for his actual length. Joshua Van, on the other hand, body shots, uppercuts, you know, slip overhands. Like, he goes for shots that would work really, really well against a grappler. And you've seen against Cody Durden and Ray Surya, he doesn't put his foot off the gas if you're trying to take him down. He really doesn't. He will keep on you and he will batter you and he'll mix combinations together really, really well. And I think against Pantoja, that's going to be good because Pantoja starts trying to wail forward. You know, Van's not just going to back up. He's going to drill in uppercuts. He's going to stand his ground, try and pivot off and throw, right? And not a lot of people try to do that with the Pantoja, right? They get scared, they back up, they get tripped over. I don't think that's going to happen with Van, but I think eventually in the 3rd, 4th, and 5th round, Van's going to get caught by something, right? And the grappling going to get caught with a sneaky takedown. But even if Pantoja gets a win over Van, Van is the perfect mold to become a champion. He absorbs information so quickly. He learns so quickly. He has the skills, he has the natural talent, he has the heart, he has the activity. He's got the fanfare as well. Van is going to become a massive, massive star, win or lose against Pantoja. And I really can't wait to see it because people are rallying behind him like you've never really seen in the flyweight division aside from like a Brandon Moreno. But it's just really incredible to see. And I just wanted to talk about how Joshua Van is a very unique fighter and he deserves all the praise he gets. So watch out for Joshua Van. Him and Pantoja are likely going to fight in December. That seems to be what they both want. And I can't wait for it. Anyway, guys, let me know your thoughts on Joshua Van, his recent fights, that kind of stuff. I just wanted to bring up the discussion, and I'll see you guys later.